Hello. We'll wait. Oh, you can see my cactus back there. Hey guys, what's up? Can you see my cactus behind me? My dancing cactus. I'll wait just a minute to let people pop in. Hey guys, how are you? Whoa. What's happening? MAGA from Boston. I am on a little legal weed. Good for you. Hi, Wes. Hi, Gary. Representing Georgia today. 40 years. Hello. I'll wait just a second, see if some more people hop on. Good evening, Sarah. Congrats to your dogs. Thank you, Luke. And, you know, I went thrifting today and I randomly found this. So I bought it. How perfect. Kansas City, Missouri. Hi, Gary. Kansas City. We're just waiting. Just wait just another minute. See if anyone else. Let people pop in. See who's joining us tonight. Hello. Barbecue mega capital. I didn't know that. Kansas City is the barbecue capital. Hi, Lance. How are you? The shirt looks great, Sarah. Thank you. I couldn't believe it. I had my other Georgia Bulldogs shirt on today, and I like to go to thrift stores, so I went thrifting today. That's what you call it. And I found this. I couldn't believe it. It's perfect. Some of the best you can get. I didn't know this. Sarah, your sweet and nice style is helping wake normies up. I've been doing this for 15 years. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you so much. Doing well. My mom brought me some banana bread, not sharing. Is it homemade banana bread? That is delicious. I'm actually quite jealous. My mom has never made, she makes a lot of other things, but she's never, you're a lady after my heart in thrift store shopping. Can I just tell you? Okay, this is, I wonder if I should show you my finds. Okay, we're waiting for people to come in, so I'm going to do a little show and tell. Because I'm staying in Virginia, and Virginia has some of the best, antique stores. So hold on, I'm going to show you what I collect. I'm quite nerdy, and I know a lot of you are males, so you're probably not into this at all. Show us Eva. She's sleeping. She'll get mad if I pick her up. Well, hold on one second. Okay, so I collect old perfume bottles. I just think they're fun, and I think that modern packaging is depressing. So I went to these antique stores, and I've been going thrifting a lot and going to these antique stores and thrift stores. So I found, how cool are these? These are vintage perfume bottles. How cool is that? I'm going to get started in just a minute. I'm doing a show and tell, Patsy. Hi. I was letting people sort of come in. So I found this at an antique store. How cool is that? That's an old perfume bottle. This, very good find. I know, look at this. This is an old perfume bottle. How cute. And then, okay, then I'll get started. And then, hi, Patsy. And then look at this, and it still works. I have to clean this one, though. That's a little dirty, but how cool is that? I think they're so fun, and they're so much prettier to look at than some things you see. I used to live in Virginia Beach. Oh, Virginia Beach is very cool. I haven't been there in a long time, but Virginia Beach is very cool. Okay, I guess we can get started now. Welcome to Sansoni. And then today I found a lot of cool stuff. It was mostly clothes today. Thank you, Gary. Gary said, those are great finds. Thank you. All right, I think we can get started now. So I'll talk about AOC first. Watching you in London. Oh, cool. I've never been to London. I would really like to go. London is a very pretty city. So I put on my community post, I had a few people say what they wanted to talk about, and one person wanted to talk about the decline of AOC. So we'll talk about her a little bit, which is always fun. She's very entertaining. You have to give her that. And then somebody asked if I think Biden will be running for re-election. So we'll talk about that. There's this article about Hillary Clinton maybe running, and we'll go through that. And then I have some stuff that happened today with Dr. Fauci. He was in Senate today, and I don't know if you know this, but he's been accusing. So Rand Paul is someone that's really been grilling Fauci a lot in the Senate, asking him about the gain of function and all of that, which I won't get into too much because I don't know a whole lot about that. But Fauci has been saying that Rand Paul is just trying to play cheap politics with him, and he's been accusing Rand Paul because of Rand Paul's criticism of him, he accused Rand Paul of, totally vile. Hold on, let me see what he said. So Fauci charges that GOP Senator Paul's rhetoric has led to threats and harassment. And Rand Paul had this brilliant response to him today. So I'll play you that. But first, let's look at AOC. So a lot of people have been talking about AOC recently. AOC, Congresswoman for Queens, New York, because throughout the entire time that we've been locked down, going through this pandemic, she has been criticizing Florida. She's been criticizing Ron DeSantis, calling Florida a dangerous place, calling, DeSantis all kinds of names. And she even said, this is so funny, and she had a live stream, of course, where she's just been a raging hypocrite throughout the entire time she's been in Congress, whether she is selling a $60 tax the rich sweater, whether she is going to the Met Gala, which costs, I think it's like $20,000 to $30,000 a ticket, like mingling with rich people, like with the elite, wearing a dress that said tax the rich. And she said she did it to make a statement, but we all know she was completely giddy. She loved the attention. She loved mingling with celebrities. But she said while we were locked down, she said, as elected officials, our job is to be first in modeling responsible behavior. That's our job, because I can't ask you to wear a mask if I'm not wearing a mask. So these are the kind of things that she was saying during the pandemic. And also, I don't know if you know this, but back in June, where is this article? Oh, okay. So back in June, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been skipping out on congressional votes, citing pandemic hardship, but has found time to campaign for progressive mayoral candidate Maya Wiley. I continue to be unable to physically attend proceedings in the House chamber due to the ongoing health emergency, AOC said. She wrote to a White House clerk. This is June 14th. Explaining that she had designated her colleague as her proxy to be able to vote on her behalf. Members of the House are allowed to designate proxy voters if the pandemic makes them unable to attend floor votes in person. This rule has been in place since May 2020. Far from sheltering in place, however, AOC rocked out with Wiley at an indoor unmasked concert with the Strokes and comedian John Mulaney at Irving Plaza just 2 days before she wrote her letter. I didn't even know that happened. So that was back in June. And then recently we saw the photos of her in Florida while the new variant, the numbers are increasingly high under the new variant. She's partying in Florida, having cocktails outside. She went to a drag bar. There were pictures of her at this drag bar, hugging people. They're kissing her on the cheek, maskless, just around massive amounts of people. And I don't know if you saw these videos. It was so cringy. This Hillary can't run. It was so cringy. the people that were performing like called her out, so she kind of came to this stage area and everyone was like cheering for her and she's hugging people, and it was just so cringy. Why anyone would cheer for her, I have no idea. Also, given all the crap that she's talked about Florida, I don't know if those were Floridians that were in the audience or people that were vacationing, but AOC literally talked crap about your state and then you're whatever. So this happened, and then she came down with the Rona. She tested positive for the Rona. So people, and hopefully she's okay. She's young and she's healthy. She would probably have mild symptoms. But anyway, people were criticizing her, rightfully so, for being a hypocrite, for everything that I just told you. And her response to that was basically to say that the people that were criticizing her were oddly obsessed with her and really just wanted to date her. Well, Sarah Palin recently came up and said something about this, and I love what Sarah Palin says. So she's actually criticizing AOC and Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris does the same thing. When Kamala Harris is criticized for doing a terrible job as vice president, she automatically brings up her gender and her race, and that is a way to deflect actual accountability. But I love what Sarah Palin says right here. So former vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin accused Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which I don't know if you guys follow GadSad, but he calls her Alexandria Occasional Cortex, which I like that. Accused Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Vice President Kamala Harris of using sexism as a shield against legitimate criticism. Fox host Rachel Campos Duffy said Harris hasn't taken responsibility for many of her failures, and both the vice president and AOC blame others when things go wrong. A recent example is when AOC was criticized for vacationing while maskless at times in Florida. She blamed Republican sexual frustrations as the root of the cause of the backlash. Isn't that something pretty creepy, pretty junior high-ish creepy? It amazes me that her and other socialists' ability to deflect what the issues truly are. And here is an obsession with suggestions of gender and sex. This is what Palin said. I truly believe there are enough Americans who get it and understand what her tactic is. And that is to deflect from whatever the real issues are. I completely agree with her. And she says, and obviously it's a tactic so that she doesn't have to be held accountable. It sounds like she hasn't been held accountable for much, maybe in her entire life. She does not have that foundation. And they also brought up a really good point too. And the point was, so the person that was talking to Sarah Palin was saying, didn't Trump face way more criticism than both they did? And she said, oh, absolutely. This is a great point. President Trump did have it much harder. It was always 3 against 1 with Trump. It was the Democrats, it was the press, obviously, and it was the rhinos within the establishment of the party. And yet, look what Trump could accomplish. I love that she made that point because if you ever a really good documentary to watch, I believe it's on Amazon. I don't know where else it is. A great documentary to watch is The Plot Against the President. And I even see a lot of Republicans now are criticizing Trump for the way GadSat is cool. Yeah, I love that. Alexandria Occasional Cortex. I love that. There's a lot of Republicans now that are like, I would never vote for Trump again. He did so bad in these areas. He didn't do, Section 230. He didn't do that. Fauci, all these things. And I get it, but you have to understand what Trump was up against when he got into office. Watch The Plot Against the President. It shows you what was going on behind the scenes, and and it shows you just how many people were against him. And Sarah Palin is absolutely right. I'm so glad they brought up that point. Anytime AOC or Kamala Harris wants to use their gender and sex, look at how bad Donald Trump was criticized by everyone. It was the press that was completely against him. It was the Democrats that were completely against him. And it was a lot of Republicans that were also, a lot of establishment rhino Republicans that were completely against him. He had such a difficult time when he got into office. And I honestly think that's one of those reasons that he didn't get as much done as he wanted to, because he had all of those people. There were people in the Republican Party that did not want him in office. And I don't know if you know who Marianne Williamson is. She actually primaried to run, I believe, on the Democratic ticket. And she was actually, I believe she was in that debate with Biden, Kamala Harris, and Tulsi Gabbard was there. I like Tulsi Gabbard. But she primaried to run for office. And I do not agree with a lot of things she says. And she's very, I actually was first introduced to her by Oprah. Not that I've ever met Oprah, and she actually physically introduced me to Marianne Williamson, but Marianne Williamson is an author, and she used to be on Oprah's show a lot. Oprah would refer to her books a lot. She was a spiritual person. She still is. Well, she was recently on Fox News, and she made a really good point. She was like, it's not really Democrat, Republican. It really is people against the establishment. And that's what Trump was, Sarah and Oprah BFFs. And I totally agree with that. It is. And that's what Trump was up against, the whole establishment. And that was Republicans and Democrats. There are a lot of Republicans that had his back, but there are a lot of people that didn't. And he faced a lot when he got into office. So I think given all of that, I think he was able to do a lot of incredible things. Oh, this is important too, because I also agree with it. So Sarah Palin, this is the last I'll talk about this issue, but she says, man, I love this. Do you watch Jeopardy? Are you talking to me? No, I don't watch Jeopardy. So Sarah Palin went on to talk about the fact that people like AOC and Kamala Harris will use the fact that they are women to try to deflect from actually taking accountability and being accountable for their actions. She goes on to say this, and I also agree. She made so many good points. She says, man, these fake feminists who bring the women's movement back so far by channeling everything right back on, oh, it's our gender. Doggone it, she says. I also like that she says doggone it. People don't like us because we're female, she said. It's your work ethic. I'm really thankful that I was brought up in a place where gender truly has not mattered. And that's true. Women have fought so hard to be treated equally in the workplace, to have equal rights with men. Well, that also means if you want to be treated equally, then you are going to get criticized for not doing a good job. No one's going to be like, oh, she's a woman, don't criticize her, she's just a poor woman. No, you're being held to the same exact standard as everyone else is. And instead of taking responsibility, you are deflecting back on your gender. Or, oh, people want to have sex with me. Or, oh, they're doing it because I'm a woman. No, you really are taking that movement backwards. And I don't like that at all. I totally agree with everything that Sarah Palin said here. It's like you want to be treated equally, and then when you're held accountable, you just take everything backwards. Women have fought to be treated equally and equal, and that means men get criticized, also means you get criticized. And Trump had it worse than I think anyone that I have ever seen. And he never said, oh, it's because I'm orange. AOC wants all the power and none of the accountability. Yes, and it really is with people like her, it really is about control. She wants to control people. That's why it's, her district, she wants them shut down. She wants them lockdown. She wants them masked up, but she's vacationing in Florida, not doing any of that. AOC could have, if she believes everything that she said, she would be practicing that. She could have, Florida, you can wear a mask if you want to. She could have masked when she went out. And what was that announcement she made when her team announced that she was positive for the Rona? She made an announcement saying, Everything still works and everyone should still be following all the CDC guidelines. She was not following the CDC guidelines when she was in Florida. She was hugging complete strangers, like long hugs. She absolutely was not. So again, you're like, rules for thee, not for me. She's not doing any of that when she's in Florida. She wasn't following the CDC guidelines, but everyone else should. And AOC is someone, in my opinion, maybe she started out caring, but I think it got to her head. I think this celebrity status she feels like she has, and she kind of does. You have to admit that the people that like her, she is kind of a celebrity politician, if you will. I think that it really got to her head. I think she enjoys it way too much. She enjoys the optics, the celebrity of being this public servant, which is what you are. And I think it's totally gotten to her head. And, I think she enjoys it. She wanted to go to the Met Gala because she wanted to be around celebrities and she wanted that attention. She was out there parading herself at the drag bar because she wanted the attention. She likes that people were clapping for her and everything like that. She likes it. Nicholas Bishop said, Joe Biden said President Harris in his talks in GA. I saw that. I just saw that. She was doing it all. She is a celebrity liar. Yeah, she's a liar. Okay, I'm going to play you this. Now, I just wanted to go to Fauci for a second because this is the same type of thing, but it's different. So Fauci, the same thing. He can't take the criticism either. And I want to point out something about Fauci, okay? Because if he really, I think he also enjoys the celebrity of being, thank you very much, Patsy. I also think that Fauci enjoys the celebrity of it all. He enjoys that he's on TV all the time talking and everyone's looking to him for all the answers. I really do think that he really likes that and enjoys it. Because if he really believed, notice something about Fauci. He never goes on right-wing media, ever. He never goes on Fox News. And I'm sure they would totally have him. He never does. He only goes on left-leaning news outlets where he's asked softball question. He never, ever goes on Fox News. And I think that's because he doesn't want to be asked any hard-hitting questions, and he knows that they will. If this was such an emergency, if he needed to get that information out so bad, and if it really is the Republicans that are the least likely to follow the guidelines, he should want to go on Fox News more than any other station, but he will not do that. And watch what he does when he does have legitimate criticism. If you've watched any of the grilling that Senator Rand Paul has given Dr. Fauci, it's all legitimate criticism. He's asking questions. And Fauci says that Senator Paul's rhetoric has led to death threats and harassment. Now, I want you to listen to Rand Paul's response to this. So Rand Paul has been asking him about the gain of function research. He's been asking him about do masks work or do they not? Because you're going back and forth. Just like the CDC, you keep going back and forth and then you wonder why people are starting to lose faith in you. So this is all legitimate criticism. So this is what Rand Paul, so remember, I love this so much. I love Rand Paul today, and I love Sarah Palin today. I love both of them. I do. So this is Rand Paul responding to Fauci, basically accusing Rand Paul of his rhetoric is causing all of these threats to come to Fauci.
Dr. Fauci, it's disappointing for you to suggest that people who dare to question you are responsible somehow for violent threats. Realize that by attacking me, you're attacking the one member who actually has suffered from violent attacks. I was at the ball field today. Steve Scalise almost died. I was 10 feet away from a staffer who was shot in the leg. We had over 160 rounds of semi-automatic weapons fired at us, ammunition. So for you to somehow suggest that somehow I or people who dare to oppose you are responsible for threats, that's insulting. The person who shot at us and almost killed Steve Scalise was a rabid supporter of Bernie Sanders. But the one thing you'll find if you look at the record is that not one of us accused Bernie Sanders of being responsible for that. So this is the kind of ignorant sort of personal attacks that you've engaged in. You engaged in these attacks with fellow scientists. Not only was it 3 scientists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford that you chose to malign, 50,000 scientists and medical doctors signed this petition. And what they wanted was something that most Americans think is pretty reasonable. It's a different kind of approach. Instead of saying that everyone is the same and everyone should get the same treatment and everybody ought to just get vaccinated, what it did is it said that the death rate for this disease is extraordinary and the risk being different according to ages. So
Okay, that's all I'm going to play there. I wanted you to hear his response because that's an excellent point. I remember when that happened. It was this radical Bernie Sanders supporter, and I believe it was at a baseball game or after a baseball game, shot at them and injured Steve Scalise. And not one person, and this is what a lot of people do. They will blame, not one person blamed Bernie Sanders for that because that would have been silly. Just because this person was a fan of Bernie Sanders or a supporter of Bernie Sanders doesn't mean that Bernie Sanders caused that to happen. And people do this with Trump. They do this with a lot of Republicans. Whenever Republicans are critical of them, they'll basically say that's causing me to have threats and all this stuff. No, if you're getting that, that's completely wrong. I condemn that on all levels, but that's not the person that's criticizing you. And if you're a public figure, people are going to criticize you. You're allowed to criticize public figures. Please add that link later. Okay, I'll put it in. I wonder if I can do it right now. Let me see if I can do that actually right now. See if I can put it in the chat. Hold on. I'm putting that link in the chat. If I can pull up my chat. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Okay, link is in the chat. Rand Paul's site says Fauci. Exactly. Okay. There's the link. Oh, I have a little queen thing next to my name. That's very cool. There's the link. Yeah, he goes on further. That whole exchange was about 7 minutes. And Rand Paul is probably one of my favorite senators. I feel like he's consistent. And he, you know what? Actually, Rand Paul, not only did that incident happen with Steve Scalise at the baseball game, but Rand Paul, I don't know if you remember, but during 2020, it was the Million Man March. It was this huge march. It was a lot of Trump supporters in D.C. It wasn't January 6th. It was before that. It was December. I think it was December 6th. Anyway, it was in December of 2020. No, I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't that. But I will say December 6th, it was the Million Man March, and it was a bunch of Trump supporters that showed up in D.C., and it was peaceful. They marched, and then afterwards, when people sort of broke apart and they were going home, a lot of Trump supporters got violently attacked in the streets. And so that happened. That was hard to watch. Also, when was it? It was somewhere around that time, but Rand Paul actually got surrounded, and nobody attacked him, but got surrounded by a bunch of people. They were yelling threats at him, and he was with his wife. He had to have like security like encircle him, and there were just tons of people all around him. It was Trump's had some event at the White House. I can't remember what it was, but people like kind of like Antifa type people and just like violent rioters were waiting outside of the White House for all these people that were attending the event to leave. I mean, they were yelling at old ladies and old men that attended this Trump event, and Rand Paul was one of the people that got just verbally attacked and intimidated, and people surrounded him and his wife while he was leaving this event. So that's not the first time that Rand Paul, and he never blamed like an individual person, but he did call out the fact and that Democrats basically let all this violent. Hello, William. Democrats basically made excuses for all of this violent rioting and protesting that happened all throughout the summer of 2020. Okay, we're gonna go to Hillary. Rand Paul intimidated? Never. Well, it was like, it kind of made my heart pound watching it. It was him and his wife leaving, and they just got surrounded. Like, while they were leaving this event, going to their car, they got surrounded by this just angry, unhinged mob. All right, let's look at Hillary. So this is from the Wall Street Journal, and it says... Let me know. Okay, let me read this first and then let me know what you think, because I put this on my TikTok and people had some very visceral reactions to Hillary Clinton possibly running in 2024. Okay. Hillary Clinton's 2024 election comeback. I'll just read you a few paragraphs from it. It says... A perfect storm in the Democratic Party is making a once unfathomable scenario plausible, a political comeback for Hillary Clinton in 2024. Several circumstances, President Biden's low approval rating, doubts over his capacity to run for re-election at 82, Vice President Kamala Harris's unpopularity, and the absence of another strong Democrat lead the ticket in 2024 have created a leadership vacuum in the party, which Mrs. Clinton viably could fill. She is already in She is already in advantageous position to become the 2024 Democratic nominee. She is an experienced national figure who is younger than Mr. Biden and can offer a different approach from the disorganized and unpopular one party is currently taking. So, okay, I know they're talking about Hillary running, but this is also the Wall Street Journal saying how unpopular Kamala Harris and Biden is and how chaotic their whole administration is. If Democrats lose control of Congress in 2022, Mrs. Clinton could use the party's loss as a basis to run for president again, enabling her to claim the title of the change candidate. That was Obama. Obama was the change candidate. Based on her latest public statements, it's clear that Mrs. Clinton not only recognizes her position as a potential frontrunner, but also is setting up a process to help her decide whether or not to run for president again. She recently warned of the electoral consequences in 2022 midterms if the Democratic Party continues to align itself with its progressive wing and urged Democrats to reject far-left positions that isolate key segments of the electorate. She did say that. I don't know if you remember, but this was pretty recently. She was basically saying that the Democrats are going to lose the House if they keep aligning themselves with far-left progressives, which is right. We talk about this all the time. We talk about this all the time, how a lot of these progressive policies, most people do not like. Like gender identity, no. Most people want biology. All these like voting bills that they're trying to pass, where we're just doing mail-in voting all the time, and you don't need an ID to vote. No, most people think you should have an ID to vote, and most people don't think that we should all be doing mail-in ballots. Everything that they try to push, the majority of the people do not agree with, and some of it they get away with because it sounds really good. Like, take for instance, let's use Los Angeles as a little case study here. You know, you have someone like George Gascon, who is a radical. He's one of those rogue DAs, ran on prison reform, which you hear that. Most people, okay, prison reform, that's a really good thing. I'll vote for that. That's progressive, prison reform. But what he really meant was zero cash bail. Not prosecuting violent criminals, all of these things that are happening in Los Angeles right now. And let me remind you too that California as a state voted on eliminating cash bail, and they voted no. They wanted to keep that cash bail. So that just goes to show you again, like, you know, you have this super progressive person that's in office going completely against what the majority of the people want once he gets in office. Of course, that's Los Angeles. That's not California as a whole, but I'm pretty sure that most people in Los Angeles, given that's one of the biggest counties, voted no. So most people don't agree with these things, and the Democrats have been completely overrun, and they're being completely controlled by a lot of far leftists. And I think the one thing that I thought about, and I even talked about this on this channel before Biden got elected, I was like, okay, at least, you know what? At least if he gets elected, it'll probably just be he did nothing for the first 50 or so odd years that he was a politician, so maybe he'll just do nothing, you know? He'll just be a do-nothing politician, which, you know, is a better alternative. You know, if Trump's not going to be in office, I would rather have a Democrat that does nothing, right? And that turned out to not be it at all. He completely caved to the far left. As soon as he got in office, he did how many executive orders? Like 40 or 50? I can't remember now off the top of my head. But they just went completely radical, and now everyone is suffering for it. That's why, first of all, even the Wall Street Journal is admitting that this administration is chaotic and disorganized and deeply unpopular because, and, you know, I do not like Hillary Clinton. I don't like anything about her. I can't watch her talk for 2 seconds. I just cringe. But she is absolutely right in that statement where if they keep caving to the far left, they are going to lose everything in 2022. But what do you think about Hillary running? Not that I want her to run, not that I want her to, well, I do not want her to win. I do not like her at all, but you have to admit it would be very funny. Or it would be not funny. It would be highly entertaining, I guess, if she were to run. And imagine if she were to run and Trump were to run again. I don't think that Hillary could handle losing again. I don't think she could handle it. Remember when she read her acceptance speech and she was crying? Hillary would say anything to get elected. This is true, but at least what she said was right. I don't know. No, Trump said he hopes she runs. Interesting, but a gooner. I did hear Hillary needs to run away. I did hear, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he was toying with the idea of Michelle Obama running. And I will say that she is very, I could see her, I don't know how she is as a politician. I don't like her at all. I think she's a terrible woman. But she is somebody that is very popular. I could see a lot of people voting for her. Hillary, no! Low information people voting for her is what I mean. No to Michelle. Oh, I don't want that at all. Hillary's campaign in 2008 was behind the birth certificate story. Oh, really? Up to China and Mark Zuckerberg. Never. She just she doesn't go away. But they don't have, I could see why they're thinking about her, because they have no one else that is a strong enough leader. And I think Kamala Harris was probably, before she got in office, by the way, I think she hates being the vice president. Just every time I see her and she's giving a speech, I'm like, you hate your job so much. You absolutely hate your job. Hillary is political herpes. Headboard Harris does hate her job. She absolutely hates it. Political hairpiece. Family friendly. Hillary is irredeemable. Hello. See it. Biden calls Kamala President Harris again. On Tuesday, I'll read you what happened. Oh yeah, Joe Biden was. This is why you can't cave to far left, because they're never happy. By the way, these voting bills, the voting rights bills, are some of the dumbest pieces of legislation, because most people think that you should have ID to vote, and they keep trying to make it a civil rights movement. And this is why it came to the Senate floor 4 times, and it got shut down 4 times. And by the way, I also do not believe, so they're toying with the idea now of getting rid of the filibuster and trying to pass the Build Back Better bill, which a lot of people think is dead just because of Manchin, and he's the one. I don't think so at all. I think Joe Manchin, and he has admitted this before, Joe Manchin is taking one for the team. There are a lot of Democrats who do not like this bill, but were afraid to stick their neck out, that have districts that are even more, I can't say right because they're Democrats, even more moderate, or more of a red than Manchin's. And a lot of them didn't like it. So I don't think the Build Back Better will ever pass. I do not think they will get rid of the filibuster. Joe Manchin is not the only Democrat that didn't like the bill. He just took one for the team. On Tuesday, President Joe Biden addressed a crowd in Atlanta, Georgia, regarding the Democratic Party's push for 2 federal bills supposedly about protecting voting rights. I can't talk. Regarding the Democratic Party's push for 2 federal bills supposedly about protecting voting rights, but made an unforced error while reading the teleprompter and referred to as Vice President Kamala Harris as President Harris. It's not the first time the Commander-in-Chief has misidentified his number 2 in command. Last week, President Harris and I stood in the United States Capitol, the president errantly said in reference to the Democratic Party's remembrance of the January 6th riot, which Harris compared to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. By the way, did you know that the Capitol was bombed in 1983 by a far leftist terrorist group? And one woman was arrested. She was in prison for 16 years, and she works for she's on the board of directors for a place that is affiliated with BLM. Surprise, surprise. So to say that that was the worst thing that's happened at the Capitol, it wasn't the worst thing that's happened at the Capitol. It was actually boomed. And remember the Kavanaugh hearings, when all the women's marchers, they flooded the Capitol. So before I was born. Yes, that was before I was born. Biden, as the video shows, there's a video of this, is reading from a teleprompter, so it's unclear how he messed up her title yet again. I like this article. In late December 2020, Biden also called her President Harris during a commencement speech at South Carolina State University. 2,000 people died in Pearl Harbor, Harris is high. And how many died at 9/11? It was over 3,000, am I correct? This is what he said at Carolina State University. President Harris, who's a proud Howard alum, she might have something to say about Delaware State. As covered by the Daily Wire earlier on Tuesday, his speech in Georgia has been a bit of a political disaster. The White House has been damage control mode ever since 2022 Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams claimed that she could not appear on stage with Biden due to a scheduling conflict. Yes, so Stacey Abrams didn't appear with them today. Also, there were two activist groups, so Black and Hispanic activist groups, that boycotted the speech as well. They're mad because this is why you cannot cave to the far left. Because you're trying to push this bill, yet they're mad at Joe Biden. So these two activist groups that boycotted the speech are mad at Biden because he hasn't been able to get this legislation passed. Even though, in my opinion, it's some of the dumbest legislation either. Also, I'm sorry. And it's just dumb. And they're trying to make it a civil rights issue. Abrams welcomed... Abrams welcomed today's visit from Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris is on social media, but she won't be with them when they speak in Atlanta today. The Democratic candidate for governor cited a scheduling conflict for not being there. How could you have a scheduling conflict for the President of the United States of America? I don't buy it. Several voting rights groups also won't attend after saying separately they'll boycott the Biden-Harris trip promoting voting rights in Atlanta on Tuesday. To that extent, former Trump campaign spokesman Tim Murtaugh said that it was an incredible snub of both Biden and Harris, who will be in the capital city of Stacey Abrams' own state, to talk about her signature issue. Somehow, she can't find the time to be there. Gives you an idea of how politically toxic Joe Biden really is. I wonder if it's because this administration is so unpopular that Stacey Abrams does not even want to be affiliated with them or seen with them. Could that be? Oh my gosh. The 79-year-old leader of the Democratic Party has a history of gaffes. We'll look at some of his gaffes, and then I'm gonna call it an evening. For example, on the campaign trail, he once told an Indian man that in Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm joking, he said. He also referred to President Barack Obama as Barack America. I haven't seen that clip. Barack America, and told a wheelchair-bound veteran to stand up during a moment in a speech meant to honor the veteran for the sacrifices that he made. You have to laugh at it, because what else can you do? Biden has a history of gas. He does. I pooped my pants. Oh, who was it? It was the Queen of somewhere. Oh gosh. Okay, before I go, let me see if I can find it. Queen Biden fart. President Joe Biden. Here it is. Camilla Parker Bowles can't stop talking about Joe Biden's long fart. By the way, this is a very serious channel, you guys. President Biden let out a long, loud fart speaking with the Duchess of Cornwall at the COP26 summit. Camilla Parker Bowles hasn't stopped talking about the 78-year-old's long fart, it has been reported. The pair were making small talk at the global climate change gathering in Scotland last week when the president broke wind, according to an informed source who spoke with the Mail on Sunday. It was a long and loud and impossible to ignore, the source told the outlet. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it. Oh my gosh. All right. Newsworthy. Very important news. All right, you all. I think I'm going to head out for the evening. Sarah, that should make your book of farts. Oh, yeah, my book of farts. Where's my book of farts? I lost it. This is a travesty. My book of farts actually has one fart that's called The Long Goodbye. I don't know where my fart... Oh, here it is. All right, you guys, this is going to be my closer. So, in honor of Joe Biden and his long fart, I'm going to give you the long goodbye. Okay? This is the long goodbye. So, is that what Camilla heard? Oh, my dancing cactus. You can see him right there. Right there. That was a wet one. That's the long goodbye. I actually got a copyright claim for playing that on one of my live streams. All right, that was the long goodbye. On that note, I think I'm done here. All right, you all have a really Dumb and Dumber bathroom scene. Oh, yeah. All right, you all have a really good evening. I'll see you later. Yeah, that was a wet one. Later, you guys. Have a good night. I'll be live tomorrow. 8 p.m. again, Eastern time. 8 p.m. tomorrow. Come join. I'll stay on longer for tomorrow. So if you want to talk about anything, put it in a community post. Let's go, Brandon, he said. Yes, I agree. All right, good night, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye.